Welcome to the Fabulous Fifties and Beyond. I'm Jim Pollard, your co-host with my wife, Jeanetta. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Purchase Area Mental Health and Aging Conference. It's entitled Protecting Yourself. A lot of good guests, a lot of good speakers, and a lot of good conferences for a lot of people. So you stay tuned. Our guests today are Jacqui Robertson and Jonie Hogancamp, and we're going to have a great program for you. We'll be right back.
And he'd say, go with what you got. Start from where you are. Give it your best shot. Keep reaching for that star. Get in the race. Keep your own pace. Keep moving and never stop. Just go. Go with what you got.
As we said, our program today is going to be very informative. We hope that you will pay attention and that you'll be able to attend the conference that we're going to be talking about. There is a lot to talk about this morning as we talk about this conference, the Purchase Area Mental Health and Aging Conference entitled Protecting Yourself. It's going to be held on Tuesday, May the 20th. That's Election Day. And we want to encourage you to go out and vote before you go or after you're through with the conference, because voting is so important that we want to encourage you to be able to do that also. But it's going to be held at 6905 Benton Road at the Gospel Mission Worship Center in Paducah. And it's really important. Our guests today are Jacqui Robertson and Jonie Hogancamp. Now, Jacqui, this is your first time, but Jonie is just like old hat here. You know, she's been around a few times, and it's always good to be able to call on Jonie. But today you're wearing a different hat.
Yes, today we've come to talk about the conference. It's we have a lot of good speakers this year. We're focusing more on the fraud and protecting yourself, lots of different aspects for seniors, but also caregivers and professionals, things they can do to protect themselves.
And I noticed that that different personalities are going to be there covering different things. Now, part of this conference is for professionals, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You are able to get CEUs, so we like to target topics that they can use in their profession.
What are some of the professionals that you suggest come to this conference?
We would recommend that anyone who works with senior citizens, such as social workers, physical therapists, maybe even caregivers. A lot of times caregivers need to make sure that they are educated on how they can better assist with the person they're caring for.
And nurses too. We do have CEUs available for that.
We try to encourage caregivers to take part in as many conferences as they can, because it's a known fact that if a caregiver doesn't take care of themselves, they're going to be taken care of by somebody else as a result of having been a caregiver. Now, that's a mouthful, but it means that you can just overwork yourself and end up down.
So many times the mate of the one that they're taking care of, the caregiver goes first, because it just drags them down.
It's worn out.
So it's really important that caregivers, I think, do take part in it. You know, professional people, yeah, they keep updating their training and stuff like that because they know it's important. But a lot of times, I know that like if a lady's going to take care of her husband, she's never done that before as far as a caregiver, a critical caregiver or something like that, and they need all the help they can get.
Well, and until you do it, you don't realize just how hard that is, 24/7. It can take a big toll. So we've tried to have different kinds of speakers. Some are more fun than others. We have Susan Edwards. She's talking about how to use art to help alleviate that stress and how to keep your mind sharp. And then we have some more serious folks from the bank, Regions Bank. That's Bud Kwok and Joe Kimmel, to get your finances in order. And then a grief counselor, and who else do we have, Jacqui?
We have Scott McGee from Channel 6. He's going to come and speak in one of our general sessions just about protecting yourself from schemes and ripoffs. That's kind of expanding on the series that he does on Channel 6.
So we're really excited to have him. We hope that a lot of people will come in and see what he has to tell us.
Now, I see in the program the name Bob Park. What do we know about him? His name is familiar to me.
Well, I think he is, along with a speaker, he's also a musician, bluegrass musician, has been doing that for 30 plus years, plus an educator, I think around the Evansville area. But we feel real lucky to get him to come in and give us a little bit different perspective this year.
He's going to be speaking on what?
Well, he's talking about right-handed, doing things right-handed. I guess it is the perspective of right-handed people.
Well, that ought to be interesting, especially for me since I'm left-handed. But yeah, I see some of the topics that I think are real important, and especially like from hospice, we're going to be hearing about understanding and identifying the stages of grief. And you know, that's something that people don't recognize too easy sometimes, and people grieve differently. And because we've seen that, as I said, both of us are hospice volunteers, and some people, it takes them a while just to really grieve. They won't let go.
Well, when the person you're taking care of is ill, you're so caught up in just getting
Taking
through
care
every
of 'em,
day.
right.
And people do have different stages of that. I think that sometimes people make a mistake if they don't fall in, you know, certain category of grieving. So it will be really good to have Leah out and explain to us some of the different stages of that.
Well, and some of them, if it happens in an accident, it's so quick, or a heart attack, and it's such a shock.
Well, and I think it'll be important too for Leah to explain to people that you're not the only one that's going through these stages, and that everyone goes through these stages, whether in the same order that she's going to talk about, but that everyone goes through the stages and you're not the only one, and that you do need to talk to someone about the grief that you may be going through.
We've had some instances with friends of ours, not family, but friends of ours who had tragedies this year. And I know that she's tried to get them into some of the groups because they need the group therapy. They just, sometimes you just can't do it all by yourself.
Well, and you know, I can sit here and talk all day long about losing a child, but I have not lost a child. But when they go to these grief things, they talk to other people who have lost their children. And that has to be so hard. I think one of the hardest things would be to lose a child.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Well, I can't either. And this is why they need to go and talk to other people.
Well, we, I kind of think, I refer to that having, not with grief, but in business, similar situation, but different totally. I was in the garbage business one time, believe it or not. I've been in a lot of different businesses, but that was one of them that I was in for a period of time. And I went, there was a city that was going to bid out their garbage collection, so I went over to talk with them about it. And there was like 3 or 4 of us guys that had garbage companies that was there. And all of a sudden we got to talking about the different problems that we were having. And that's when it dawned on me that every business is the same when you get down to the bottom line. I don't care whether it's garbage collecting or TV or what. Every one of us had the same problem in one form or another. Right. You know, and so I did go back a little more comforted with some of the problems that I had, but they didn't solve the problems. It just made me accept them a little better. And I think that's what in group counseling, that's what they find out is that that'll happen. Now. There will be CEU units.
There are. And at this point, we have closed registration, but we will take late registration, but there will not be scholarship money available. We have used that all, so we would love to have people come in and register the day of, if not sooner than that. Walk-ins would be great.
And what is the fee?
The fee is $35 if you're a professional or caregiver needing CEUs. With that, you get a lunch, and then several speakers.
But for the seniors, it's not that much.
Well, I'm not sure.
I think it's $10. I think I saw on there it's $10.
It's $10
for seniors.
For
So
seniors,
that's
yes.
You know, that's
or
affordable,
student.
right?
All right, so we've kind of basically I think we need to talk about where, when again.
Okay. Well, this year we're having it out at Gospel Mission. That's off of Said Road, across the street from Traders Mall. Everybody knows where that is. So it's back, you go around the back. They've been gracious enough to let us meet in the gym and some of their classrooms back there. So we're real excited to have it out there. Just give us a little different perspective. And I feel like it's a central location. So,
And it begins at 8 a.m. And it will go till about 4 o'clock.
Now the 8 till 9 is kind of preparation,
To register.
Snacks.
get in, get your name.
Get your
and-
free, get your goodies that
Yep.
all the companies are going to have there.
And we will
Yes.
have breakfast. And then with that you get lunch. And then you also get an afternoon snack too.
Okay. You know, like I said, we've been to, golly, I think we've been to 2 and missed the one last year. And there is a wealth of information that comes out of them. But for somebody like me or for a senior, you pick the one that you think will relate to you. And some of it will be professional information. But I've noticed this year that the topics are pretty unique, I think, in what some of them are going to be doing, like understanding and identifying the stages of grief. And this one should sound pretty good one too. And with a banker, so I didn't know you could do that with a trust. That one's going to be one of my interests. You know.
Well, and he's a great speaker too. It's
Oh, really?
Brad Kwok. Yeah, he does a good job. Another real practical one is Cassie Fleming. She is an occupational therapist from Lourdes, and she's going to talk about how to prevent falls. And you know, as you age, it seems like your balance gets a little bit
Or,
No.
a little bit less steady. So she may give us some tips.
I stay on her all the time. I say, honey, you put barriers in my trails. I have paths through the house, and all of a sudden something will appear in one of them, and I say, don't do that to me.
well, you know, he fell and broke his hip. So after you've broken a bone,
You become aware. You
Especially
really do become
the
aware.
hip, you're more cautious. And we really do need to be cautious about, because so many people fall.
Tell them
and
what you did though, one day, about out front of the house.
we just had some rain and cold weather. I didn't even dream about there being any ice on our sidewalk out front, and I hit it, and it was too late. I was down.
She was very fortunate though. She went flying, but she didn't break anything.
Well, that is good.
But I hit hard.
I bet that took a while to get over.
But this balancing thing and this walking is to me is very important. I won't go in a room anymore that's dark. I used to just think nothing about it, but there's too much that I feel like might be there that I could trip over. Because I was coming down off of a ladder and thought I was on the last step. I was
done
outside
that too.
working on my van, thought I was on the last step, and I wasn't. And the more I think about it, I'm not so sure I missed 2 instead of just 1. But I hit the concrete, and the minute I hit it, I knew what I had done. And it was like 6:45 in the morning on Saturday morning on July the 3rd. And she was in the house fixing breakfast, and I hollered twice, and I said, she can't hear me. Fans are going, the radio's going. I said, but she'll come out and tell me breakfast. She said, ready in a minute. Sure enough, she comes out, and I'm lying on that concrete. She said, what did you do? I said, you don't want to know. Just go get me 2 lower tabs and a glass of water.
I did get him a pillow.
Yeah, she got me a pillow
His
too.
head was just lying on the concrete, you know.
But she said, you want me to call 911? I said, no, you know how we men are. No, I'll take those, and then we can get in the car and you take. No, that didn't work. But they did. They had to call 911 and scoop me up, you know.
Boy.
But I was very fortunate. I try to look at always the good side. But I was very fortunate. I broke it on that Saturday on July the 3rd. And they said, we'll have to take you to Baptist. That's the only where there's an orthopedics day. I said, fine. And it happened when I got there. The orthopedic surgeon was in the emergency room already.
That's great.
So they kept questioning me, have you had anything to eat? No. So he said, okay, I'll put my team together at 1 o'clock. We'll operate. So they did on Saturday. So I did not have to lie there over the weekend with a
That is
broken
lucky.
hip. I was very fortunate. Very fortunate.
But you know, we didn't realize the statistics behind broken hips. 20% of people who break their hip die within a year. And then a lot of them never even walk
Get over
again.
it, you know.
They just, I had 2 aunts like that. They just sat in a wheelchair for the rest of their
Goodness.
lives.
I didn't realize it was that high either.
Yes.
Isn't that right? That's what I had
I
heard.
think it's 20% die and another 20% never walk again or better. You know? And I said, don't like those stats. But a lot of it's up here.
Yeah, you have to be
A
determined.
lot of it's up here. You got to be determined. Okay, girls, we're just about out of time for the first segment, but
Okay.
we'll take a break here and we'll be right back. You stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I like West Kentucky. It's a non-traditional college. Older people, young people, they all can come to college, and it's no worries because there are very many resources that we provide for financial aid and other assistance to help people afford college, and there's no excuse.
I lost my job at General Tire in Mayfield back in '05, and I have started at West Kentucky Community Technical College in the paralegal program, the administrative assistant program, and I didn't really want to go back to school. I was intimidated by the fact of going back to school. And here at West Kentucky, I've obtained the education that is needed in the workforce to be able to excel in life, and I just appreciate the opportunity.
And he'd say, go with what you got. Start from where you are. Give it your best shot. Keep reaching for that star. Get in the race, keep your own pace, keep moving and never stop. Just go, go with what you got.
Welcome back. We're talking about the Purchase Area Mental Health and Aging Coalition's annual conference. This is the 7th one.
It is.
Right. It's the 7th annual conference. It's going to be held at the, they call it the Worship Center, don't they?
Gospel
Mission
Church.
Worship Church out there. At the corner, we call it at the corner of Said Road or 131 because I live on 131.
Oh, do you?
131 is Said Road.
It's Said Road,
Oh,
you
is
know? Yeah, but I live in downtown Kaler, see.
Uh-huh. Is that if you keep going on that road?
That's right. That's right.
been down
Get
that
to our
way,
place.
yes.
But it's they get in the area, it'd be easy to find because, like you said, it's across the street from Traders Mall, and it's going to be in their recreation center
In the gym.
in
It's
the
back
gym.
around the back. And the parking, you might need to let the people off and then go park.
Yeah, because the bulk of the parking's around the other in the
It
other
is
lot.
around the other
Yeah,
side.
Yeah.
But it's around the left side. And registration starts at 8. And the first speaker, I believe, is at 9.
Yes, Bob Park.
Bob Parks. And then we'll end about 4. With that, you get a great lunch from Sedalia Restaurant. AstraZeneca is providing that, so we're real tickled to have that.
And that is a drug company.
You know, it's interesting that the lunch is right after the topic,
nutrition.
smart eating to live well. And if I know Sedalia Restaurant, it'll be good eating.
Yeah.
Whether it's smart or not will be a different story.
That's right. So
But they do a great job.
they do a good
Yeah.
job.
Right.
And hopefully something for everybody.
Yeah.
Even the vegetarians, we're having some meals for them too. So.
Good. Well, that's good. And then George Cowell, who's going to be the closing session, Life Your Way to Better Living. As we were talking during the break, I've done a lot of research on laughter for healing. And it's interesting. Have you ever done any research on that?
Well, I have read quite a bit about it.
There is a lot of good stuff going on in that area. Some of the hospitals now have literally set aside rooms with TVs, DVD players, where they have certain movies that make you laugh. And that's what they do. They have the people go in there and just watch uplifting, good movies and things, and
That make 'em laugh.
That make them laugh because, I mean, there's been actual research to where they wired you with all the, as I say, wired you for sound, but it's not, where they can test your reactions to certain movies and certain things that happen, and it's the effects of a good movie, a good life, are great.
Who was the guy who wrote that book about laughter and how he got well from it?
This guy in California, he was a
I
preacher.
forgot what his name was. But anyway, it's true. I mean, laughter really is so important.
So after spending a day with us, listening to lots of different speakers, you get to go home after hearing about laughter.
Upbeat.
And that's right.
Upbeat. Yeah. Well, and Susan Edwards from Wildhair Studio, she's good too.
She does a great job.
Yeah, she's real good. And so they're going to talk about art.
Just how to use that to keep sharp.
Is it for the caregiver or is it for the patient?
I think it could be for either, because it's stimulating your brain, and so that helps not only the patient but also the caregiver too.
Well, one of the things that she did when her mother began to go down, her mother was always an avid and a very high quality quilter, and her quilt work was really, really good. So
She
to keep-
embroidered a lot too.
to keep her busy, she kept cutting out quilt blocks for her so she could do it. Now the quality of the work just went down, 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 but it kept her occupied doing something that she enjoyed doing, and it kept her mind on that as on other things. When she did die, her sisters wanted to throw the blocks away, and I said, no, we've never done it. I said, but no, we got to have a quilt made out of that, and I think it would be a great thing for like a conference like this, just to show that yes, the quality goes down, but it's still there. That the
interaction
interaction
is still there.
Yeah.
We always talk about adults becoming children again, and and when they do something, you just praise them for it.
Oh, right.
You know, she might do purple leaves or whatever, but it didn't matter. That
we
was
have
what
a
she was
client
doing.
whose mother has Alzheimer's, and when she first started out, she painted the paint by number, and her house was covered with
Yeah.
pictures, and the daughter was so proud to have those, to have that to remember her mother with. And then, as she deteriorated, she was not able to do that anymore, but it kept her busy and happy for a while.
I had a friend who did that, a man. He'd had a stroke, and he did paint by numbers things for years.
Anything they can do.
Well,
That's right.
It bothers me when I see a family member criticize someone who has Alzheimer's or something like that. I mean, the caregiver doesn't understand that they've regressed back to childhood.
And they're doing the
And
best they can.
they'll say, Mother, you remember? No, Mother doesn't remember.
But you have to talk to Mother. You have to meet her
At
where
her
she
level.
is.
That's
That's
right.
right.
At her level.
And that's so especially when you talk about Alzheimer's, I mean, that's what's so important there, just being at that person's level. And if they are saying something that doesn't necessarily make sense, just go with it.
That's right. That's right.
But many families don't understand the functionality of that, and the symptoms.
But that's where conferences like this and groups will help them. And that's another reason it's important that as many of us can, find somebody to look after Mom for this day, and you come to the conference.
Because they do need to get away sometimes anyway.
Yes.
You don't need to sit there every day.
Well,
every
getting a
night.
break is so important as a
Yes.
caregiver.
Yes, it is.
Because as you mentioned earlier, a lot of times it's the caregiver who goes down before the person they're caregiving for.
Another thing, Mother, one day she told me that her niece, who had been dead for, I don't know, a few years, had come to visit her, and I just figured that it was someone who reminded her of Evelyn. So I just said, that's great. I think if they think that one of their family members has been to visit them, whether it was or not, it doesn't matter. It's a good thing for them.
You don't know where they are, and as Alzheimer's progresses, you just don't really know where they're envisioning themselves. So
There's a wonderful book I have. It's called Finding Joy in Alzheimer's. And it's got just some delightful stories in it, and some of them that sort of break your heart, but
well, we could talk a whole show about that. And Jacqui is involved with the Alzheimer's support group at her facility in Morningside. They have monthly meetings for that, so
Yeah.
people can share that.
Well, it's just there's so much, and I see so much in the schedule here as I look at some of what's going on. Some and very important topics, and I know that you're giving CEU credits, but as I look at it, I think it's really for the caregiver, for the personal family.
Sure.
Of course,
We like to target both.
the others would be glad to get CEUs, but
To have somewhere close to get
Yeah.
some continuing ed, and then also for the caregivers.
yeah, a lot of good topics here that would help them. And then it's just a question of picking out which one you want to go to. There's 4 breakout sessions in the morning, and then 3 in the evening that you'll be having. And then is Scott going to speak at lunch?
Scott we made a special session for Scott this year. So his will be a general session so that everyone will have the opportunity to attend.
And that's
And
right.
he is right after lunch,
uh-huh.
yes.
It's right after lunch, not during lunch. But
Yes.
it's
So
right
hopefully he
after
can keep them awake after that good lunch.
Well, we'll find out. We never heard him do that. We'll find out how good he is at that, won't we? He's the new man on the block.
That's right.
So we'll
We
get-
thought everybody would want to hear him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they'll know him.
Yeah, good. Well, we're about out of time again. But again, let's tell them when it is, where it is, and it's Tuesday, May the 28th, 2008.
20th.
20th.
May 20th, 2008. It's 8 to 4. If you have not registered, we will take late registration that day, but there is no scholarship money
Okay.
available. But we would love to have anybody. You get a free lunch, a lot of good speakers. Good time.
Well, and I thank y'all for coming again and telling us all about it. You know what we forgot?
What did we forget?
Think.
Wow.
We forgot about the purchase records.
Oh, the most important
Yes.
thing.
No,
One of
not
the
the
most-
most important thing.
Going along with having Scott McGee there and talking about schemes and ripoffs, we are going to have a representative from Purchase Records Destruction there, so people can bring old records that they want to have destroyed, and then Purchase Area Records Destruction will pick them up and
Up to
take
50
them
pounds.
Up to
up to
50
50 pounds.
So that's just.
That is new this year.
It is
so
brand new, so bring it with
We're
you when you
real
come.
tickled.
And I have to think of it. And is there anything else that we've left out? I don't know.
And then you have a lot of sponsors too for this. A
Yes,
lot
we
of
have quite a few.
people who help
It's
to
been
put
a
this
lot
on.
of work.
And I guess for you ladies, one thing is a sweater or light jacket is recommended
Absolutely.
because of the air conditioning. Well, listen, we appreciate y'all being here. We always have so much fun. But good information, real good information that I hope that you'll attend the conference. And we just thank you for watching our show today. We invite you to be back next week. We'll have some other news for you and different information. But you come back each week and see our show. Remember now, use it or lose it.
Can't see as well as I used to. Can't run as far or as fast. Sometimes I think that the old me is becoming exactly that. But when I start thinking of all I don't have, that's when I tell poor me